My name's Ali O'Neill and today I'm going to be giving a lunging demonstration with my friend Obi for Bear Equestrian. Some of the key safety features that I would like to highlight as being important when you're lunging is definitely a pair of gloves and a helmet. What I would also recommend is taking off your spurs. While you might think that they are not going to trip you up, it's definitely happened to me. I like to have a lunge whip, a lunge rope, a bridle and a roller, and I like to use triangle reins as opposed to side reins. I always like to use protection on my horses just in case sometimes something might happen that you're not prepared for. So I always like to use leg protection, including bell boots. Today we are using the White Bear Equestrian brushing boots and bell boots. The brushing boots are not sheepskin lined, so they are cooling, they're not going to overheat the legs, and they're going to offer a nice amount of protection in case you need it. The bell boots have a little bit of fleece lining at the top so that they're not going to cause any rubbing. Okay, what I like to do when I'm lunging is allow the horse at least 10 minutes walking in both directions with no gear attached. So really allowing them to warm up without equipment attached, as in no side reins, just the horse walking 5 minutes each way. The reason that we do this is that we allow the horse to have enough synovial fluids lubricating the joints, and we allow all of the muscles to warm up in a low impact pace. So Obi is really used to this. He's really used to our process. He's really used to the our way. What's that word that I'm looking for? Come on. But even when they're walking, he's used to our routine. Obi is very used to our routine. He has his 5 minutes walk one way, he has his 5 minutes walk the other way. So as you can see, he's quite relaxed, but at the same time, while he's walking, I don't want him dawdling. So every now and then, I will just help keep the rhythm with my whip. So he knows that when I signal with the whip, I would like him to walk with more purpose. I want to try and create good working paces from the ground. I want to also help supple the horse, go through some transitions and help the horse find a better place of balance for their current physical capabilities without the rider on their back. So I'm going to change direction. Obi, come in, darling. So when I'm using the whip, I want the horse to accept the whip the same way that the horse would accept my leg. So for example, if I'm pointing this whip towards the horse's shoulder, I want the horse to know that this is the boundary that I'm creating from my whip aid. So Obi knows that he's not allowed to fall in on the circle, and he also knows that if I ask him to walk with more purpose by directing the whip in a flicking motion, good boy. Very good. So now he's walking with a nice amount of purpose and ground cover. So our job from the ground is to make sure that we keep the paces regular, exactly the same as if we were on the horse's back and riding them. So for me, this is a nice walk. He's walking with purpose. He's quite good out of the shoulder. He's taking a nice big step with his front legs. And he's showing a good amount of overtrack from his hind legs. I could possibly get him to look or to have his ears a little bit lower and stretch down a little bit more. Even now he's starting to slow down a little bit, so I'm going to flick the whip towards the hind legs. Good boy. Follow up with a click. Come on. Come on. Obi, go. And sometimes you have to actually use the whip. Come on. Good. With a little bit more direction. So sometimes you need to be a bit more direct with the aid. exactly the same as you would with your leg. Good boy. So I don't really crack the whip because I feel like it's very similar to dulling a horse down from your leg. You know, how do you create a response if the horse is not responding to the crack of a whip? So I like to feel like the whip in my hand is a little bit like a fishing rod with a flicker at the end. So I want to sort of aim towards the horse's quarter or the horse's shoulder, and that the whip is my replacement for my leg aids. So even the lunge whip for me, the lunge rope connected through to the bit is used in a similar way, as you would through to the reins. Very good boy. So I'm really happy with how he's warmed up in the walk. So now I'm going to attach the equipment so we can get started in trot. Good boy. So these reins that I'm using are triangle reins. They're slightly different to your normal side reins because they have two settings. So they split from the top to the bottom and then a clip that goes directly to the bit. So I like this particular style of equipment because for me it just allows the horse to find the balance a little bit more directly, because it also replicates a similar type of feeling as if the rider was on the horse's back and using the reins. So I'm adjusting them to a length that I think is going to be appropriate for him. And I want the inside rein to be slightly shorter than the outside rein, so that we're keeping the horse correctly flexed on the circle line, and it will help me with the horse's suppling in its body. Good boy. Good boy. So for me, one of the common mistakes that I see when people are lunging is that their horses take off and tear around, and they're not really accepting any forward driving aids. They're basically just running in circles. So what I want to be able to do is allow the horse out onto the circle with the equipment on, and that the horse is walking and waiting for my cue to trot on. So Obi's already ready. He wants to go. Okay, go. Good boy. So to begin with, what I want to achieve is a nice steady working trot rhythm with enough ground cover for working paces. He's giving nicely in the contact here. Good boy. And he understands my cues really well. He's nicely flexed to the inside. And if I want to, I can make this circle slightly bigger or slightly smaller if I pick up the slack. And this is exactly what you want to be able to achieve. You want to feel as though the horse goes out to the pressure that you allow from the lunge rope, but that they don't fall in. Good boy. And that you can accelerate. Good boy. But all the while, I want to be able to flick towards your shoulder. If I feel the slack in the lunge ropes, or if I feel the horse is falling in, I want to be able to give a little squeeze through to the lunge rope. Exactly the same. Come on. So slowing down a little bit now. Good boy. That was a really good response for him, where he accelerated nicely. Come. I also like to hold the lunge rein like I'm holding the reins, so that I can practice feeling through to the bit. So I'm even now feeling the bit on the inside of his mouth because the lunge rope is attached through the bit and to the roller. So that allows me to direct him really nicely around on the circle line. And then I can just flick towards his belly if I need him to be a little bit looser on his side. So even now the quality of the trot's really improving as he's warming up. And I can kind of flex him. Then I can release, accelerate. Good boy. Flex him, release, accelerate. This is how I build the working paces on the lunge. So this is actually quite hard work for them because you want to be able to not just trot around at speed and then we try transition. So even the transition exercises are things that I like to work on the lunge. So I use a voice cue. Keep walking and trot. Good boy. And another one. Little squeeze through to the bit. It's not really walking. So now I'm going to give a little correction on the lunge rope. Exactly the same as if I was on his back. Good boy. And trot. Good boy. Well done. You want to make sure that you do move around when you're lunging. That's really important because it will help you understand where the horse is losing balance. It will also keep your agistment owners, if you do have your horses agisted, happy that you're not digging up their arena. You can also teach the horse lots of things doing this. So you can help balance a very big canter, you can help teach them lengthened strides, and it just gives you a little bit more physical awareness of where the horse is losing balance and how you can help with your artificial cues with your whip to help the horse position and balance. Squeeze through to the bit on the inside, release, click up, flick with the whip, good boy. So now you can see the trot starting to pick up momentum and energy because I'm creating that here from the ground, exactly the same as if I was on his back. Come on. So he's a little bit lazy. Good boy. Come. Good boy. Come. Then we'll pop up into canter. And canter. Canter. We might be able to see him a little bit behind the A's because I've asked for canter, which he knows the cue for, and he has totally ignored. So now I'm going to apply a little bit more of a direct aid. And canter. So I'm going to flick with the whip. Canter. And if he ignores me again, canter. Good. So I made a much bigger aid with my whip. So I'm going to repeat that again because that's not how I want him to respond to my aids. And canter. Good boy. So that still wasn't good enough. So I'm just going to give him a little flick in the canter. Come on. Get him in front of my aids, right? So the whip aid and my voice aids, come on, are my signals for him from the ground. Come on. Good boy. Good. And canter. Still. Come on. So I'm going to give him a little zhuzh up now. Come on. So we're going to activate the canter, really get him travelling, really in front of the aids, really wake him up. Come on. Good boy. Good. Now we'll try again. Little checks on the rein. Good boy. And canter. Good boy. Well done. So that was a much better transition. But did you see how I had to refresh the canter from my aids from the ground to be able to get him to really, good boy, to really get him to pay attention to my aids from the ground. So these are things that they absolutely directly relate to how they respond to you under saddle as well. We'll come back to walk and change direction. Very good boy. What a good little man. A good little man. He's a good little man. Aren't you? Good boy. He's a good little boy, aren't you? Yeah. You're being so delightful. Hey? And you look so shiny. You look so shiny and black. Even though we know you're brown. Good boy. Come this way. Come around. Good boy. Wap, 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 wap. Yeah, so he almost trotted off on me as well. So no, we don't do that. We don't do that. Good. So that was an opportunity for me to give a little check through to the rein where we go, no, you wait. And it's a good opportunity. Like, don't ever see that as a bad thing. It's just an opportunity to teach them the right way to respond to our A's, which is that they wait. Good boy. And we wait until the walk is relaxed before we ask them to trot on. So that's our responsibility as the handler from the ground as well. Be really honest with yourself. Was that the correct response that I want? And is that the desired response that I want to train? Okay, now that he's relaxed, he already knows. Go, go, good boy. He's very clever. He's actually quite sharp and intuitive to my A's because we've done a lot of groundwork with our friend Obi. So interestingly, he's travelling a lot more freely on this way by himself, and I'm not really sure if that's because we've given him a freshen up in the can to the other way, but it feels like he's travelling really easily for me now at the moment. So now I'm going to make this work a little bit more difficult, and I'm going to try and build this trot rhythm and tempo. Good boy. So we're not going to totally make a walk transition, we're just going to bring the trot back, and then again, kiss up. Good boy. And he accelerates again, and this is how we start to play with transitions within the pace. You can also do it on the lunge. Stop it. Who said lunging's boring? Good boy. And trot on. Good boy. So this is what you would replicate through a half halt when you're riding. Good boy. We can get him to lengthen a little bit. Flick up, bit of help. Flick up, bit of help. Good boy. Build the trot a bit more. Good boy. This is starting to look a lot looser. And canter. Canter. Good boy. That wasn't too bad, but I'm just going to give him a little flick up just because it's just still a little bit laboured for me through that transition. I want the transitions to be as good on the lunge as if I was riding really good ones on his back. And canter. Good boy. Still a bit slow. Come on. I can't really correct him because he did make the transition. Canter. Come on. I'll freshen him up again. Come on. Good boy. Come on. Come on. Trotting. Very good. And canter. Good boy. That one was right on the A's. Very good. Come. But he's got to keep cantering. Come on. Come on. Come on. I want a bit more jump. I want him a bit more giving in the contact. Come on. I feel him just a little bit labouring. Come on. Canter. Come on. Good boy. So sometimes you have to just get after them a little bit. Not get after them. Sometimes you just have to really make sure that they're attentive. Really motivate them with your come on. Canter. Good boy. Come on. Get him a bit more forward. Good boy. A bit more forward. Come on. Good boy. Now he's starting to soften and give. Good boy. Canter. Come on. Come on. Quick. Good boy. Now he's starting to soften and give. So because I know this is hard work for him, he can have a little break. Good boy. That was a nice balanced transition too. Very good boy. Very good boy. Okay, darling. And I also want them to stop and not turn into me. I want them to stop where I've stopped them and wait for me to come to them. What a good boy. Feel free to let us know other topics that you might be interested in us covering. And I hope you enjoy exploring your own lunging journey and understanding how lunging can definitely help translate to a better ride, and it does not have to be boring.